Welcome! This is Fatherhood in Focus, a podcast designed to help you succeed in your role as a father and maximise your impact. You and I both know we often fight on alone, and this can lead us to lose sight of the things that really matter. I learned the hard way and almost lost it all. I'm standing here today and talking to you because I made a decision to fight back. We are pillars of strength, persistence, resilience, courage, and have a critical role in the development of our children. But often, we sacrifice everything for those we love, but often find ourselves isolated and with nowhere to turn. I'm Aidan, a father of two and the founder of the Modern Fatherhood Club, and your host for today's episode. Before we crack on, here's something for you to consider. Everything in today's episode and future episodes is about you. Each episode is designed to talk honestly about the challenges of fatherhood. Today, the world is filled with bullies and influencers using their platform to abuse the position of power that they hold. Their hollow words, empty rhetoric, and storyline is designed to get you hooked and bought in. Everyone has a story to tell and a narrative to sell. But today I want to set something straight. This podcast will be different. Whilst this is my space to talk to you, the objective is to grow the conversation about the challenges many of us face. Today I'll make this promise. I'll never mislead or abuse your trust. In a world where short, sharp sentences are designed to get you to commit, this platform will focus on the story, impact, truth, empathy, and focus on the advancement of the fatherhood figure. There'll be no bullshit, no undercutting the value. This is an educational platform designed to create a voice, designed to value and celebrate the contribution that you make to you and your family, and especially your kids. That's it. Thanks for listening, and I respect the importance of the role that you play in every aspect of family life. In this episode, I want to take you a little deeper into my personal story and give you an insight into the conflict a father faces as he tries desperately to find a way to get back to normality. You see, once you're in that hole, it can be incredibly hard not only to see the light, but to focus on anything positive. Fatherhood is about positivity. It gives you this unique chance to reset and become a better man. The problem is, if you're not prepared, then it can catch you off guard and send you tumbling into the darkness. For me, my fall had nothing to do with fatherhood. If anything, fatherhood just gave me the kick up the arse I needed to make changes. Problem is, I left it too late because I thought I could just push on. And it didn't matter what I was facing, I would get through it. The signs weren't immediately obvious to the outside world. Everyone around me had become accustomed and accepting to my behaviour. I was moody, distracted and distant. To those that know me best, that might have been me just being a little off. I know I was more reserved and quieter than usual, but my results didn't change. So why would anyone question it? I was stretched and stressed to my limit, but to you, my employer, and even my partner, you knew I could always get it under control. And so nobody asked me how I was. We, that's my partner and I, both put it down to me adjusting to the seismic shift of becoming a parent. Here's the reality and the hard truth. Unless I admit that I'm struggling, nobody is responsible for digging deeper. I'm accountable for the way I feel, my behaviour, my choices, and I'm accountable for making those closest to me aware of the pressure I'm feeling. My partner's role is really simple. Should I feel ready and willing to talk, she listens. Only at that stage will I be willing to listen to any potential solutions that she offers. It's on me to seek support, but at the end of the day, I still need to choose to take that step. Here's the kicker. This is what caught me out. As a second-time father, was I going to openly admit that I was struggling? Nah, hell no. My priority was my partner and my young family. I wasn't secure enough in my role as a new parent to show vulnerability, and I wasn't prepared to disappoint and let my partner or my young family down. It was much easier to just move past it and suppress the way I felt. To the outside world, my priorities had changed. I had to stay focused on my objective to support my new family, both financially and emotionally. I needed to be there for my wife. She needed me to be strong, resilient, and level-headed. After carrying our child for 9 months and bringing life into this world, I couldn't let her see just how far I'd fallen and how hard I was finding the adjustment. Her mind was rightly on other things. She was facing much bigger challenges head-on a daily basis, and she had, after all, taken a step back from her career to raise our children. For those of you on paternity leave, or if paternity leave has just ended, the message is clear. Nobody is interested in your struggle. Nobody asks you how you are. Nobody is expecting you to find this transition difficult. And nobody is prepared to find out how you're feeling. As I returned to work from paternity leave, I had to be sure-footed, clear of mind, and ready to pick up where I left off. The fact I'd had a full-blown mental snap and felt overwhelmed and overloaded, I needed still to stay strong, and above all else, I couldn't let on that something had caught me off guard. I believed work and my personal life were separate, so I kept everyone at arm's length. I was never going to open up. If I felt like the walls were closing in, I would just push harder. My family needed me to be strong. Look, as the pressure increased, I retreated further into myself and started to build barriers. On the outside, I look calm and ready, and I can feel that 8-mile beat kicking in. I had to remain composed and step up, regardless of the pain I was carrying. I didn't complain, my head was down, and there was a smile drawn across my lips. But I didn't want to share how I was feeling because too many people depended on me. More importantly, what would they think if they knew of the battle that had been raging internally? I needed to silence the nagging doubt, push it deeper within and silence my biggest critic. I was unwilling to accept that I had been defeated. Why? It's a question that's plagued me, and I'm sure if you've struggled or are struggling, you'll be grappling with that question too. So here's my take on it. I can't look weak. It could cost me my relationship, my friends, my career, and everything I've worked for. I have seen so many fathers and men struggle. Our behaviour becomes self-destructive, and as we push everyone away, we retreat into ourselves. I've seen grown men burst into tears because of the shame they feel, and that's from those strong enough to admit that they have a problem. Too often we're lost to the struggle and the voice inside, and too often we take risks with our own health, and those behaviours' only point of focus is to numb the pain. In reality, our decision not to admit the struggle damages us and the future of our young families. I believed, as a new father, it was my responsibility to push down this overwhelming feeling of failure and conceal it beneath the surface. I lived by the mantra, it's okay, I'll get through this. As a new father, I didn't know where to turn. The support wasn't immediately available, and I wasn't sure how to approach it. So I did what any good dad does. I knuckled down. I threw myself into work, and I bit down on that gum shield, ready to take hit after mental hit. The thing is, as a dad of two, I just knew this approach wasn't going to work long term. I knew, as a dad of boys, I'd only end up teaching them how to suppress their emotion, how to ignore the signs, and how to push everything you care about away. It had to stop, and it had to stop quickly. What I feared above all else was that my boys would grow up and become just like me, cracked under the pressure. Nobody saw it. As we hurtled toward our youngest's arrival, I became an expert at concealing my emotion. My partner didn't see it coming, neither did my friends, my family or my employer. I'd learned along the way to hide it well and to numb the pain the only way I knew how to, by failing to look after myself. It was never about the pressure of being a dad. It was everything about me. It wasn't until Maxie arrived that I realised I had absolutely nowhere to turn. I was desperate and I needed to unload. The pressure got too much and it forced me into a corner. I finally admitted to my wife that I was losing the battle and I needed to escape. As I touched on in episode 1, those words shocked her to her very core. My decision to accept I needed help actually left her feeling scared, alone and confused. It wasn't that I couldn't cope with being a dad, I just felt worthless. I thought my decisions were causing me to fail as a father and I was fearful of the future. I was ready to be a parent. As a couple, we were more than ready to bring life into the world and love these little people unconditionally. That night, though, her reaction showed me I had something to fight for. I knew it was on me and I had to find a way to teach and influence my kids from this position of strength and confidence. I had failed to see the toll my lifestyle and approach to work had been taking on me. The beauty and emotional rush felt on the maternity ward had quickly turned to fear. How could someone struggling to stay afloat cope with this new addition to our family? That's what was going through my mind at the time. Within 24 hours, your whole world is flipped upside down. Everything you've worked for and the relationships you've worked so hard at, everything starts to creak under that pressure of fatherhood. The balance you had is thrown into total chaos. We tell ourselves it's okay and we'll get through it. But do we really see it coming? Your role changes and you're expected to react and act like nothing happened. My eldest was born in 2017 and this bright, beautiful little boy entered the world. I sat back and I took it all in. I remember the pride I felt. It hadn't been hard to adjust. I settled into the role and we got on with it. We had 2 weeks paternity leave and they were perfect. But then the reality hit. It was back to work. Before he arrived, I pushed my body to its very limits. It had taken its toll, but I couldn't pause. I had to find a way to be more involved and closer to home. Fatherhood changed my outlook overnight, and I started to look at things differently. I was restless, and if I'm brutally honest, I was disappointed in how far I'd come. In April of 2017, just before he was born, I'd crashed and burned. It's a story for another day, and I'm sure I'll cover it in more detail in the future. And in all honesty, I never really recovered from that event. I instead pushed on. The pressure leading up to Max's arrival had been building, and there was this overwhelming need to escape. I'd fallen so far that I wasn't able to enjoy the early days. After that night, when I finally unloaded, I felt this sense of energy surge through me. I had to urgently make changes or be lost and risk everything and everyone I loved. That night rocked our perfect little world. I regret my behaviour and how I allowed everything to destroy my ability to see the beauty in our little piece of heaven. As a new father, you question the impact you're having from the off, and under the stress of fatherhood and against a tide of raw emotion, you start to question the direction you're taking. Your family come first, and every ounce of your being will push toward making sure they have what they need. You will do anything to be there, even at the expense of your own health. But once that dust has settled, do you ever really sit back and reflect on how your world has changed? In my humble opinion, that reflective step is crucial, and is a crucial component to your success in the early years. It gives you two things: the perspective to make changes, should changes be necessary, and the perspective to see what they really need. It's the second that creates the space to tackle any challenge you're facing. I'm sure, like me, you will have either tackled it head on or you'll be fully focused on the battle ahead. Your choice to focus all your power and energy on everything else to provide for and protect your new family at the expense of your health and well-being can catch you out. The key question is, how much are you willing to sacrifice before it starts to implode and destroy the things you care about most? Where and when will you draw the line? Despite the warning signs after baby number 1, I kept pushing. My objective was simple: to be a positive influence on my young family. The problem was, the strain had already taken its toll and I was reactive in my approach. I had started to prioritise short-term decisions rooted in trying to ensure the financial security of my family over the longer-term impact I wanted to have. As a consequence, I started to doubt my ability as a parent. I covered it up well, but it gnawed away at me until it caught up with me. And on that fateful night in 2020, when that snap came and hit me hard, it knocked me clean off my feet. Only at that point did I realise I had a choice. At the time, I wanted nothing more than to provide for my kids and give them the life I knew they deserved. But somehow I'd become so conflicted I no longer thought I was capable of doing it. I had to right the ship. Like a lot of dads, I focused on the wrong things and stopped enjoying the things that made being dad worth it. I let the world outside knock my confidence, and I questioned my role and the impact I was having. We all set out with the same objective: to be the best dad we can be. For some, we think we're failing because we can't get to grips with the shift, that swirling conflict between provide or be present. Some of you will have or have had great role models and teachers, and some of you won't. When it comes down to it, blood, sweat and perseverance will see you through. In my humble opinion, it is your past experience that might be leading you to question your role and the impact that you're having. We both know that regardless of how you feel, you will give it your all. From my greatest fall, I finally started to see it clearly. As we enter fatherhood, we're unsure, we lack confidence, and too often we let the voice of others dictate how we feel and allow it to knock us off track. We're so caught up in providing that we forget to reflect and celebrate the progress we've made. We forget to see the beauty in the simplicity that plays out in front of us, and we confirm to a way of thinking that limits our connection and potential. As new fathers, we are regularly ignored, and as a consequence of this, the signs that a dad is struggling is often overlooked. In my experience, the adjustment of fatherhood changed the way I saw the world. I questioned my worth and my progress. But what became clear once I'd finally admitted to my partner that I was struggling was that my struggle ran deeper than my role as dad, and early fatherhood had just tipped me over the edge. In my experience, the adjustment of fatherhood changed the way I saw the world. I questioned my worth and my progress. But what became clear once I'd finally admitted to my partner that I was struggling was that the struggle ran deeper than my role as dad, and early fatherhood had just tipped me over the edge. It is important to recognise that from day one, it never stops. The relentlessness is real, but it also forges your greatness. If you commit to the role, understand it, and reflect on your progress, you will become the dad you want to be. Above all else, you will become the dad they need. As a dad of 2, it never stops. I love it. The ride is incredible, absorbing, and delivers joy at every turn. The boys and my partner, Terry, are my everything, but it used to feel like I couldn't catch my breath. It's never going to be easy, but whoever said it was. As a dad who struggled, I understand that there's a darker side to it, It's effortlessly beautiful and simple if you commit yourself to living in the moment. But if you're locked in the past and fearful of the future and unwilling to open up, it's an incredibly lonely existence, made worse by your unwillingness to talk about the challenges you're facing. From one father to another, I encourage you to speak up and seek support. We both know you accepted the struggle a long time ago. After all, it's what's keeping you awake at night. I was fearful that admitting it would leave my wife with no choice but to leave and take the kids with her. I was worried that she'd ignore it. I was fearful of the shame I attached to looking weak. What I failed to acknowledge, and now understand, is that any admission of struggle is a display of courage and demonstrates a willingness to move forward, and above that, a commitment to your family. Others will admire you, and those closest to you will love you no matter what. If you're not ready to admit the challenge you're facing, look down at your kids and see the love in their eyes. To them, you're strong, courageous, confident, and fearless. And if nothing else, you're the dad, the person they look to for guidance, love, and attention. I don't care who you are, how strong you think you are, or how much you're prepared to sacrifice. No dad should ever feel alone or ignored. I believe every dad deserves to hit the pause button on the whirlwind that is fatherhood and get that shot at feeling like you're back on track, full of confidence and ready to take on any challenge that's thrown at you. That's why the Modern Fatherhood Club exists. If nobody else is prepared to back you and support you on your journey, then I will. If you're looking for support or want to learn more about the strategies I use to help me stay on track, then subscribe to this podcast, jump on the website and check out the New Dad Recharge, our signature course. If you've liked what you've heard and want to hear more and learn from someone prepared to put his voice out there, I invite you to join the Modern Fatherhood Club community. If you'd like to share your own story, I'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you're a mum listening to this and you want to celebrate the impact your partner is having as a new dad, please contact me, as I'd love to share that story too. Once again, thanks for listening. Your journey is unique and our stories may be wildly different, but community is something we all lack. The Modern Fatherhood Club exists to advance the fatherhood agenda and protect the foundations of the family unit. I'm grateful to you for listening, and please, if you like what you hear, subscribe and help me spread the message. Resources in today's episode are designed to hit home and raise the profile of the importance of a father's struggle. Fatherhood in Focus will continue to bring these messages to the forefront of our minds and focus on the reality of modern fatherhood. Like anything, you have to work hard at it. Perseverance, resilience, effort, and a willingness to give it everything is just part of your story. Your struggle, emotions are things that you are conditioned to keep to yourself. Someone asked me why I haven't stopped working on this project and what keeps me going. The answer is simple. Look at your kids. Every motivation to stay on track, to fight back, is right there. No matter how hard it is and how much pain you carry, they need you. They don't need you to step up. That's on you. They need you to be present, free from conflict, and accessible. My biggest fear is that I'll fail my boys. My resources, courses, videos, and everything I write or record is designed to help dads who, like me, may have lost their way. I know you because I know me. The only difference is that I'm one step further ahead. My fear of failure pushes me on, but in reality, that biggest fear is really simple. If my sons become the man I once was, then I haven't given them what they need. Love your journey, focus on the impact that you have, and give them everything you have, but not at the expense of your health, confidence, passion, and love for life. This has been Fatherhood in Focus. Thank you for listening.